Hi, welcome to How to Repair. Is your washing machine leaking water from the soap drawer when on rinse or spin cycle? This is a common problem, as you can see from the customer's video that he sent me. He sent me an email to say that he had a problem with his washing machine when on rinse cycle and all the suds were coming out of the soap drawer. You can see this in the video here. The problem that occurs when this is happening is you have a restriction in the water outlet. This can maybe be a problem from 4 separate locations. You may have a problem with the pump filter, the pump itself. You may have a blockage in the waste pipe going from the machine. And on some occasions, you may even have a problem with the fitting under the sink. But the most common problem that occurs with these machines causing this type of rinse problem is when you have a small item of debris like a sock, handkerchief, or even some old tissues have been left in the pocket when washing, and they get blocked around the heater or in the sump hose. In this video, I'm going to be showing you the 3 areas to look at when you've got a problem, and I'll also be showing you how to inspect the pump. Okay, the first and the easiest test is to actually check your fittings underneath the sink. You're going to need a bowl to do this, and you'll need to put the actual machine in the off position. Then you want to take the fitting off the sink unit and get the hose. This will give you a clear indication if you have a problem with the sink fitting itself or the machine. Now I'm quickly going to turn this onto a spin cycle, and I'm going to press start, and this will show you the amount of water that should be coming out of the machine. This is a good flow of water, and I'm quickly going to stop it here because otherwise it'll become too heavy. But that is a good flow of water. Now, if you do have a good flow of water coming out of the machine, you want to start stripping down the waste fitting on the sink unit. Okay, if your machine did not have any water coming out of the waste hose when you were checking the sink fitting, you're going to have to drain down the machine to gain access to the pump or the sump hose. To do this, you're going to need to disconnect the machine from the electricity supply, and you're going to need a couple of towels to make sure you don't damage the floor. Also, I suggest having a large bowl and a very shallow tray from the cooker. The reason I say a shallow tray, I'm lucky my machine's on a workbench, but you're going to be working on the floor in the utility room or kitchen, and you want to be able to get a tray underneath. Now, opening up the pump filter, you will normally find a drain down hose, but sometimes these drain down hoses, like with this machine, do not drain the water very quickly. And as you can see, I have to move it around just to get a small flow of water. Now, the other way of doing it, and if I hold that there a second and put the bung back in, is to actually undo the filter with a tray underneath. But don't take the filter all the way out. Just loosen the filter, give it a bit of a wiggle until you've got a reasonable amount of flow of water coming out. You might get some spillage, but as the tray fills up with water, you will then be able to tip it in the bowl. You may have to do this several occasions to drain the machine down. Okay, once you've drained down the machine, you should be able to open the door after a couple of minutes. Then you'll be able to take your clothing out, put it in a bowl, because we are now going to have to check the filter, and we may even have to disconnect the machine from the water supply to tilt the machine backwards to be able to get at the sump hose. Okay, now you've got the clothing out of the machine, we're able to have a look at the pump filter. Now the pump filter should turn freely, but if it doesn't, be aware that pump filters can get jammed by coinage, hair clips, or other items that have been left in the pockets on the clothing. What you want to do is, if it's jamming, try to wriggle it both ways to dislodge whatever's in there. But if you can't undo it freely and easily, have a look at another video I've done to show you how to remove a pump filter without doing any damage. This means that we've got to strip the pump down. But once you've taken the pump filter out, you might find lots of debris in the filter. If it's a lot of debris, then this may have been your problem, why the machine was not emptying in the allocated period of time. You also want to have a look at the impeller. The impeller sometimes can have things like elastic bands or bits of string, which have wrapped itself around the impeller, restricting the capability of the motor to be able to turn that blade at the correct RPM, therefore causing a restriction in the flow of water. If that's the case and you're able to remove some stuff out of the filter, or possibly something wrapped around the impeller, put the filter back in again and try the machine again. If it is still not emptying in the allocated period of time, we now need to have a look at the sump hose on the machine. Okay, the sump hose is quite difficult to get at on some machines. It depends whether you can get access from underneath, but on some machines you're going to have to take the front of the machine off. I have done a detailed video on this to show you how to do it. You're going to need to disconnect the waste, disconnect the power supply, and disconnect the water supply to the machine. Now I'm going to lean the machine right forward, and then I'm going to drop it back so I can show you. This gives us clear access to the bottom of the machine on this model. This is a Beko machine, and I can clearly see the sump hose here. Okay, here's the sump hose. The first thing we need to do is take the pipe off. Now, it's attached at the pump, and you do need a pair of pliers. These aren't the best for doing this job. Normally, a set of grips would be better because they're quite heavily sprung-loaded clips. Now, you can either use a screwdriver to detach the sump hose off the drum, but they are normally nuts as well, and you could put a socket on there and just undo it with a socket. Once you've released the pressure, the sump hose will come away. Now, first, on some machines there'll be a heating element in this location, and there may be something wrapped around the heating element restricting the flow of water, and here we have the sump hose. This really does quite often get small baby socks, handkerchiefs, small items of clothing getting wrapped inside here because they come down through the bottom of the machine. And the way that they get into the drum is usually between the gap between the door seal and the inner drum. Don't be surprised to see a ball in the middle of these things. And it's worth giving these a clean because they do build up with a lot of dirt over a period of time and can get clogged. But this needs to go back in, as it's called an anti-siphon ball. Inside here, make sure it's completely clear. Inspect down the pipe this way. Once you've found whatever's blocking the machine, this will be your problem, and you'll be able to reassemble the machine and then retest it. To do that, just make sure you give the ball a quick clean, just to remove. These can stick, by the way, when you go away on holiday, because the machine dries out, and that can be a problem. Then all you have to do is reattach the hose and make sure you line it up correctly. And I'm just taking that all the way up to the top where it should be, and then clip it onto the drum. Make sure you take it tight, not over tight to strip the threads on the clip, but it does need to be tight because there's a lot of water pressure in this. So once you've got it hand tight, just give it about half a turn and that's fine. And then you need to put the clip back on and attach the hose to the pump. And these can be difficult, and I'm not using the best pliers for this job, but that's all reattached and we're ready to retest the machine. Okay, I've let the machine fill up with water, and as you can see, we've got good amount of water in the machine. At this point, I would actually put a piece of newspaper under the machine just to make sure that you haven't got any leaks. Now, I just wanted to let you see how quickly the water empties in the actual machine, and I'll press start and the machine will start emptying, and you can see the water level going down now very quickly. I would like to thank Ross Newman for sending this video in to us to give me the inspiration to make this video for you, because it is quite a common fault with these machines. Thanks very much indeed for watching this video. Please remember to buy all the parts off us, subscribe to the channel or give the video the thumbs up, and if we've really helped you, please remember you can always support the website by clicking on the Bipolar Beer page. Thanks very much indeed for watching.